Hey, what is up, mortals? It is SBurkVA here with a new video for you. Welcome to part 8 of What If Deku Had a Regen Quirk. I just wanted to greet you guys by saying sit back and relax, you're in for a treat. And so, we begin.
The winner of this year's first year UA Sports Festival from Class 1A is Katsuki Bakugo!
Present Mike announced excitedly. Fireworks exploded in the sky as Bakugo stood on his first place podium. He scowled at the second place Todoroki to his right, but gave a friendly fist bump to the third place Midoriya on his left. Setsuna was still in Recovery Girl's office, so she wasn't able to join Midoriya on the platform, but she was still awarded nonetheless. Ida had also had to leave early due to family reasons. Midoriya would have to check up on him later, but enough with the negatives. It was time to celebrate. All Might appeared with medals and awarded the teens with their prize. Congratulations, my boy! You keep on aiming for the top and you'll get there. You deserve this medal. All Might placed the bronze medal around Midoriya's neck. Midoriya whispered, "I need to meet with you later," to which the hero gave a nod. After the award ceremony, Midoriya was walking down the UA halls with Bakugo. "I can't believe that half-and-half bastard didn't use his full quirk on me," Bakugo complained. "Dude doesn't even realize that it's his quirk, not his father's." Midoriya stopped in front of a meeting room and said, "Thanks for walking with me here. Thanks for everything you did for me today, actually. You've really helped me realize what I need to do. I'll see you later." After making sure Bakugo left the area, he entered the room. All Might sat on a couch with a kettle of tea prepared on the coffee table. Midoriya sat opposite of All Might, and they started a conversation about possible internships that Midoriya could take after the request forms come in. All Might was urging the teen to intern with his old mentor, but Midoriya kept thinking about the dreams he kept having, and the fits of coughing he would have. The number one hero was reminiscing about his time at UA as a teen, but Midoriya cut him off sharply. I have to tell you something?" The hero was taken aback for a moment, but replied, "You can tell me anything. What's wrong?" Midoriya started. "I think I might be dying." All Might spat out his tea and cleared his throat with a cough, similar to Midoriya. The hero wiped away a splatter of blood that appeared on his lips. The freckled teen explained what he'd been going through for the past couple of weeks, as All Might tried and failed to hide his expressions. The look on his face said more than Midoriya needed to know. All Might knew exactly what was happening to him. I know it has to do with One for All. Every time we talk about it, you always answer vaguely how you're coughing up blood like I do." The hero clutched his side as a subconscious reaction to the accusation. The look in Midoriya's eyes was intense, swirling emotions of anger, betrayal, hurt, and regret all blended together within his emerald eyes. All Might sighed. He owed the kid an explanation. He was the reason that the kid was in this mess to begin with. And so All Might told Midoriya everything. The origins of All for One and One for All. The users that had been hunted and killed because they had the quirk, Midoriya being the ninth. The 8 figures Midoriya would see in his dreams made more sense now. All Might was trying to beat around the bush. He described the lives and the quirks of the previous users, especially his mentor in particular. He was talking about every conceivable detail that didn't explain the reason why Midoriya's body was rejecting the quirk. "Please, All Might, just get to the point and tell me what's happening to me," Midoriya pleaded. All Might's heart twinged with guilt. The kid was terrified. "Okay," All Might finally admitted. "I know what's happening to you." With a sigh, All Might started his explanation. "Hikage Shinomori, the 4th user of One for All. He wasn't killed by All for One. He died of old age. But he was only 40. This quirk places an enormous burden on a person's body to the point that it shortens the user's lifespan. When the 4th received the quirk, it only had 2 quirks stockpiled into it, and he lasted 18 years with it. Now, One for All has about 7 quirks in it, including your own, regeneration. I was quirkless before receiving One for All, so I was immune to the effect. I knew about this fact before giving you One for All, but I chose you because..." Midoriya stood abruptly, tears flowing down his eyes. "You..." Midoriya shook with anger. "You gave me a quirk that kills the user?" All Might took a step back as flashes of green lightning emitted from Midoriya's body. The lightning danced wildly as if the visualization would actually electrocute someone if they made contact. Midoriya had never felt such intense burning anger in his life. He had sacrificed everything for this quirk. He ruined friendships, wasted his time, and wrecked his body and mind. All Might felt his skeletal figure bump against a table. His voice wavered as he said, "Young Midoriya, I'm so sorry I didn't tell you. I thought that with your quirk, your body would be compatible." The teen clutched his stomach as he fell to his knees. He coughed with such aggression that blood splattered onto the hardwood floor. He was clutching his abdomen so tightly that his fingers dug into his flesh. All Might attempted to approach the boy, but he started wailing. Between shallow and rapid breaths, Midoriya spat, "Get away from me!" If the human body were like a cup and Quirk's were water, then Midoriya's cup was full. Receiving One for All was like dumping 6 cups of water into an already full one. His body was overflowing. Felt like he was going to explode. Midoriya's veins were glowing a deep red and his eyes were wide and shifting wildly. He had a feeling in his stomach that made him tremble uncontrollably. He didn't understand what the feeling was. It was uncomfortable and unfamiliar. He gagged, thick bile filled his throat and rushed out as he vomited onto the floor. All Might stood, frozen and afraid. He had worked as a hero for decades, but he had never felt such intense regret and fear in his life. The hero had tried to avert his eyes from the scene, but his eyes landed on a bright object that lay in the bloody pile. A blonde hair. The boy rolled onto his back as his grip on his sides loosened. The feeling in his abdomen slowly started easing up, and the familiar warmth of regeneration filled him with comfort. There was a flame in his heart, but with each passing moment the flame died out. Soon the flame was snuffed out. His breath had started to return, but he remained lying down. His head throbbed with a hurricane of emotion. Unfortunately, regeneration couldn't heal emotional damage. The silence filled the air between the pair as All Might stared at the unmoving Midoriya. He could see the boy's chest moving up and down with each breath. Eventually, Midoriya pushed himself back up. He wiped the blood from his mouth. He looked at the puddle of blood on the floor and he saw a singular blonde hair poking out. He looked back up and made eye contact with All Might. "Young Midoriya, I'm so sorry." Midoriya walked out of the office. This video is sponsored by Skillshare. With the services Skillshare provides, you can get access to many in-depth tutorial videos on basically anything you want to learn. Each class that they have is bound to help you with your creative endeavors. Do you want to learn how to make videos like this one? Do you want to learn how to write scripts or edit audio? Skillshare has you covered. And with our link, you can have a 14-day free trial. So what are you waiting for? Click the link now and get 14 days worth of classes free. Link in the description below. That night, Midoriya dreamt of the vestige space again. He was completely barren and deprived of any sign of the vestiges themselves. The darkness didn't cling to him anymore. For the first time, he was able to freely move in the space. He walked aimlessly, in a singular direction. Eventually, he stumbled upon a door. It stood in the middle of the space. Midoriya looked behind it, and it was just standing alone. He opened the door, and he walked into a plain white room with 9 chairs arranged in a circle. For the first time, the vestiges that appeared before Midoriya were not engulfed in shadow, except for their mouths. Their eyes looked at Midoriya expectantly as they sat in their chairs. Midoriya had only heard descriptions of the predecessors, but seeing them was an entirely different experience. Unlike the human experiences of the others, one of the vestiges was a bright yellow flame. It resembled All Might. A voice startled Midoriya. "Take a seat." Turning around, Midoriya saw that one of the vestiges didn't have their mouth covered by darkness. He had pure white hair, which obscured one of his bright blue-green eyes. He was the smallest and weakest of the powerful heroes that existed in this space. He must be the first user. Following the man's suggestion, Midoriya sat down in the only available seat. The man spoke courteously. "I'm sorry that we couldn't contact you sooner." Don't worry about it," Midoriya replied, unsure of what to say or do. The man leaned forward in his seat and folded his hands across his lap. "This is gonna be the last time you'll be here," the man stated. "You're a wonderful person, and you're going to be an amazing hero, but One for All, it wasn't compatible with your quirk factor. Your regeneration quirk saw One for All as a foreign invader like a virus, and your body went to war against it. If you had any other quirk, One for All would have slowly drained your life force. In a way, you're lucky that your regeneration quirk rebelled and rejected One for All. You would have lived a very short life if you managed to avoid my brother." A piece of the wall crumbled as he finished, and Midoriya felt the world around him start to shake. Cracks formed on the floor and crawled up the walls like spiders on a web. Debris was falling, and the shaking was getting stronger. Through the cracks in the wall, a bright light shined, which burned Midoriya's eyes. A piece of the ceiling fell, and Midoriya dodged when he felt a stabbing sensation in his brain. Another stabbing sensation told him to look behind him. and he saw part of the ceiling collapsing over the vestige of All Might. Midoriya reached out his hand, and black tendrils shot out and grabbed the rubble.
What the hell?
Midoriya exclaimed, causing the tendrils to retract back into his skin. The floor opened up beneath him, and a blinding light threatened to pull him down. He began floating. The vestiges remained seated in their chairs as a circle of flooring remained around them. The entirety of the room fell into the white abyss, and Midoriya was levitating above it. The white-haired man spoke again.
It was wonderful getting to know you, Midoriya, but it appears that our time is up.
Wait! Midoriya started, but a thick white cloud of smoke started to surround his body. The smoke started obscuring his vision, but the smoke screen only grew larger and larger. Midoriya watched as the rest of the vestiges began to fade away, lost in the clouds. Eventually there was only pure white. Midoriya's eyes shot open as his morning alarm blared in his ears. He yawned contentedly and got ready for school. He remembered segments of his dream and he tried to chase down the details, but it was too foggy. It was probably another superhero dream again anyway, so it probably wasn't too important to remember. While walking to school, Midoriya heard splashing behind him, and when he turned around to see who it was, he was shocked to see that it was Ida. Amid all the quirk chaos, Midoriya had forgotten to check up on him. He had heard from Uraraka that his brother had been permanently paralyzed by a serial killer in Hosu. His friend was probably fighting some serious demons, and Midoriya was too distracted with his own issues to offer any support.
Hurry, Midoriya! We're going to be late!
Ida urged, speed walking to the front of the UA building. Midoriya started running alongside Ida and struggled to bring up the topic.
Ida,
Ida promptly cut him off.
If it's about my brother, don't worry. Let's just get to class.
Midoriya decided that he'd try to bring it up again later. Homeroom was a lot more chaotic than he expected, as the class had been tasked with coming up with hero names, since hero internships were coming up. Aizawa revealed how many internship offers each student had received. Midoriya was surprised to see that he had 101 agencies that wanted him. The students around him had their hero names approved or rejected, and soon it was Midoriya's turn to choose his. In all honesty, Midoriya had no idea what he wanted his hero name to be. He just lost the only shot he had at being the hero he always dreamed of becoming, by rejecting One for All. So he was back to square one. He had felt like his life up to this point was a series of ultimatums. He had chosen power and had lost his best friend. He had chosen to be a hero and he lost both his legs and an arm, though he did end up growing them back. He gave up on One for All, and he lost the power he always wanted. Midoriya stood in front of the class as his hero name was written neatly on his whiteboard.
I want to be known as Ultimatum. An ultimatum is a final proposition, condition, or demand whose rejection will result in retaliation or other direct action. I feel like I've been torn between branching paths for the past couple of months, so I wanted to take control of my narrative. I will become the force that tears villains away from their paths and hopefully leads them down a better one. If they refuse, then they'll be met with the consequences.
Huh? What's with all that profound bull? Bakugo laughed.
Says the one who wanted to be called Lord Explosion Murder.
Midoriya countered. A week passed since that day, and the class was gathered at the subway terminal. They had all chosen which agency they would intern at, and Aizawa was giving them a final lecture before they headed off to catch their trains. Midoriya was only half paying attention as his anxiety only grew, with the departure of his train growing closer. When the teacher finally ended his speech, Midoriya made sure to say goodbyes to his friends. As he was talking to them, he saw how Ida was walking off on his own. Midoriya stopped him before he entered the subway car and said,
If you ever feel hopeless, let me know. We're friends, right?
Ida simply nodded before retreating into the subway car. Midoriya looked at the time and realized he should get to his train before it departed as well. He took a seat with a huff and bounced his leg anxiously the whole ride. He arrived in Hosu City. He walked down the streets before stopping in front of the building he was looking for. Miruko's Hero Agency. Thank you all for indulging yourselves in all this information thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, if you're in the mood for some great storytelling, We the Celestials has got you covered. Our We the Celestials, My Hero Academia, and Naruto What If channels retell the story of their namesake anime with a twist. Check it out if you're interested. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details can be found in the description below. And lastly, if you're interested in what we do here at We the Celestials, then I'd like to extend you an invitation to join the team. The only caveat being that we only accept members from 16 years and up to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interests by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. We're always looking for members to join us. Well, that's it from us for today's video. So thank you all for watching, and have a great day.